Caloroga Shark Media.
Bonus episode about the Roast of Tom Brady and all the great stuff from Netflix over the weekend. The regular episode for Monday is earlier in this feed. I'm just talking as I think here, so this will be a little more free-form than usual, but wow. I mean, the Roast of Tom Brady, what keeps going through my head was the Super Bowl of comedy. If they ever did that again and made the comedian list a little bit stronger, you add a Chappelle or a Mulaney to that dais, and wow, but boy, great job, Netflix. Oh my goodness, what an amazing special. 3 hours roasting Tom Brady. I kept notes. I shared the notes as we went along in the Facebook group. I've got a notepad here. Where do we start? Kevin Hart, man, crushed it. Now, on previous podcasts, I have said that I don't find Kevin Hart all that funny. Sunday night, Kevin Hart, you were awesomely funny. He's slayed. As far as I'm concerned, let him host all of these from now on. Wow. Kevin opened by saying they were there to roast the greatest quarterback of all time and then said, wait, Joe Montana's here? Some good lines from Kevin. I've never seen Inglewood so white. It's so bleeping white in here. It looks like a Bruce Springsteen concert just let out. Kevin joked about why they were doing it in the Forum and not the Crypto.com arena. Kevin said the reason we didn't go there is we didn't want to remind Tom's fans of how much money he owes them. He effed those people. Effing good, didn't he? But the joke I kept misquoting to my wife that really stuck with me. Kevin Hart with an absolute slay, and some people were like, Tom Brady might regret doing this. Kevin said, single life is what you deserve because you had no choice. Giselle said, you retire, we're done. Let me tell you something. When you got a chance to go 8-9 and all it'll cost you is your wife and kids, you got to do what you got to do. You know what that's called, Tom? That's called real stuff. F them kids. Wow. All right, so Kevin crushes, passes over to Jeff Ross. Ross walks out in an O.J. Simpson jersey that said Roast J. Simpson, a number 32. Jeff Ross, a pro at this, the roast master, right? So he crushes. So we're 2 for 2 in hilarious. Next up was Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe, the quarterback of the Patriots before Tom Brady. He was really good. I assume Jeff Ross and the writers wrote Drew's material, but he executed it really well. And as the night went on and we had other non-comedians performing, it really showed what a good performer Drew Bledsoe was. Nikki Glazer got up, and I wrote the note that the first few minutes, it sounded like she was executing someone else's material. They just sounded to my ear like Jeff Ross jokes. But then Nikki got in the groove and got some of the best reactions of the night. One of her slays, seriously, Tom, you're the best to ever play for too long. You retired, you came back, then you retired again. I get it. It's hard to walk away from something that's not your pregnant girlfriend. She tagged that with, hey, to be fair, he didn't know she was pregnant. He just thought she was getting fat. Wow. Next up, Randy Moss, wide receiver. That was the first lull of the night. Okay, we understand. Kim Kardashian got up. She was booed. She added nothing. She sounded like she was executing Jeff Ross jokes. That makes sense. Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura got up together and had really uncomfortable energy. They were doing that side-to-side rock that you'll see high schoolers do when they're on a stage in front of their classmates. Segura landed some jokes. Bert Kreischer ate it, as they say in the business. I don't know what was going on there. Sam J was, all right. I actually wrote, time to get the ball back to Kevin Hart. There started to be a lull there. Will Ferrell came out as Ron Burgundy. As I wrote on Facebook, Will Ferrell has been coasting on Reputation for over a decade now. Will was not funny to the point that I wrote on my notes. Bill Belichick was funnier than Will Ferrell. Bill had strong material, whoever wrote it. He just wasn't that good at delivering it, but still funnier than Will Ferrell doing the thing. Will, I don't know. Then, what a nice spotlight for Tony Hinchcliffe. If you don't know Tony and Kill Tony, you're going to now. This probably really elevated that whole thing. He crushed. They did a bit of Kill Tony called Kill Tommy. They pulled a name out of the hat. There was one name in the hat. It was Dana White from the UFC. Dana was pretty tight. Tony facing backlash over a joke about Kim Kardashian, per the New York Post. As the Post points out, Hinchcliffe, known for insult comedy, was discussing the Will Ferrell movie Anchorman and its famous whale's vagina line. The controversial joke from Tony Hinchcliffe, a whale's vagina, which reminds me, Kim Kardashian's here. She's had a lot of black men celebrating her end zone. Kim, word of advice, close your legs. Then he got a little too naughty for this podcast. One social media user wrote, Slut-shaming women in front of a crowd of people and making women the butt of a joke for absolutely no reason is so disrespectful. And what's the punchline, misogyny? It's a roast. That's what a roast is. Then Gronk got up. He had some okay material. I wrote working too fast, but he's not a comic. Andrew Schultz then crushed, showing what a pro can do. Very fun, great pacing. Robert Kraft spoke, didn't really make too many jokes. Ben Affleck, awful. He was really boring. I actually Facebook posted, give Affleck the light being the thing they do in the back of a comedy club telling a comedian it's time to wrap it up. After Affleck's set, Jeff Ross jokes, this is the only time I wish Netflix had commercials. People were making fun of Ben Affleck's bad plastic surgery. One person tweeted, Ben Affleck's face looks insane. Another person wrote, Ben Affleck couldn't afford good plastic surgery. No wonder he seems so angry. That's permanent. His set did not go over well. Some comments on social. Ben Affleck going on an unhinged rant about fans on social media at the Tom Brady roast was not on my bingo card. Another fan compared it to a car crash. A third said, next time, get somebody else to do it. Don't ever invite Ben Affleck. Again, I doubt we'll have Ben Affleck at the roast of Donald Trump or whatever the next thing is. Peyton Manning got up, had some good material. He worked his material too quickly. Same note I've said before. He's not a comedian, so I get it. And then Tom Brady himself got up. Brady had the delivery of a high school valedictorian, but the material was pretty good. He shot back at everyone. Peyton Manning, thank you so much for coming out to LA to do this. I know you sometimes live in Denver and sometimes you live in Louisiana, but you'll always live in my shadow. That was pretty good. On Kevin Hart, I've heard some people talk about me having bad knees. My knees are so messed up, Kevin, because I spent so many hours on the floor begging Netflix to get Chappelle to host this. Good rip on Kim. Thank you so much for being here. I know Kim was terrified to be here tonight, not because of this, but because her kids are home with their dad. That a Kanye West joke, in case you didn't follow. Tom making big NFL news that I'm sure is going to be analyzed. He said, remember Deflategate? The NFL spent $20 million and found it was more probable than not that I was generally aware that someone may have deflated my footballs. You could have just given me the $20 million and I would have just told you I effing did it. But then Tom Brady made this horrible, mean joke about Taylor Swift. Here, let's listen.
Kansas City, you say your stadium is the loudest. It helps when all your fans are 14-year-old girls.
Oh, man, that is so mean. I feel bad for Taylor. Everybody always making jokes about her all the time, and they're so vicious. Tom tagged that with a joke about the Chiefs' eras. Terrible for 50 years, good for 5. I'm skimming my notes here to see what I missed. A good one from Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. I forget which one of them said this joke, but the line was, the only difference between Tom Brady and Hitler is that Hitler stuck with his wife until the end. Ouch, that's great. Oh, here's the Dana White joke from Andrew Schultz. That's who it was from. That's why Dana White is here, so you can learn how to screw a Brazilian out of half their purse. Before the event, Tom Brady said, it's like a football game. You're running with a game plan, then you go and see how the strategy goes, and you adjust on the fly. This is what a locker room's been like for me all these years, so it's not like I'm used to people not making fun of me. There was a weird moment that's going to be talked about a lot. Jeff Ross had made a reference to Patriots owner Robert Kraft getting a massage. Brady walked up to Ross and said in his ear, don't say that stuff again. It was caught on the microphone and it was awkward. I'm sure someone will dive into that, and I'm sure the spin will be that Tom was kidding. Yeah, huh? Some people thought we were going to have a Will Smith moment. That would have been amazing because that moment was, I don't know, 15 minutes into a special. That would have been great to see a Will Smith moment and then 2.5 hours of awkwardness. Good joke by Tom Brady about Peyton Manning. When I heard there was a slow white Bronco heading down the 405 to come here tonight, I thought we might actually see a real football legend. Kevin Hart said, I love he's embracing the things that some people think he runs away from. It's a celebration of greatness, and we're doing it in a fun way. All right, let's take the break. I'll come back. We'll talk Katt Williams, Seinfeld, and Mulaney. I was all jazzed to watch Katt Williams, and I finally got to watch it Sunday around 6:30, so it was a nice appetizer for the Tom Brady. It was okay. Back to the whole special versus hour thing, I felt Katt Williams felt special. It was live, a big, good-looking theater. The set, the physical set, looked great. It looked like an event. I don't know what I was looking for from Katt. Maybe I just wanted him to just tear everybody down. He didn't really do that. I found it really compelling. I was definitely entertained. He is an entertainer. I'm not sure how funny the special was, and as I watched it, I noticed Katt will set up jokes for a full 45 seconds and get an okay punchline. It's more style than laughs, but I do enjoy watching him. I did add it to my best of 2024 list, which right now, number 1, Roast of Tom Brady, 2, Attell, 3, Triumph, 4, David Cross, 5, Dusty Slay, 6, Kinane, 7, Dimitri Martin, 8, Jimmy Carter, 9, Katt Williams, 10, Hannah Gadsby's Gender Agenda. For the top tier, I'd probably draw the line after David Cross, all right? Tom Brady, Attell, Triumph, and David Cross are your top tier right now. I've said this 3-4 times already this year that it's going to be hard to top X. I thought Cross was great, and then Triumph was better, and then Attell showed you how it's done. But that Roast of Tom Brady, 3 hours, and I've talked about how I'm a comedy snob and I don't laugh at stuff. I was chuckling out loud most of the night. Will be really tough to beat. Anyway, Katt Williams, it was fine. I took notes and see what else I wrote. I do want to point out I watched the edited version, not the live version. I'm not sure if that mattered. He started heading for trans material, and I was like, really? Can we just not do that? And that's really it. Katt Williams, it was fine. Watchable. You'll enjoy it. I watched the Pop-Tarts movie, Unfrosted. I loved it. Actually, I need to add that to the list. That was really good as well. Really enjoyable. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll think about where I'm going to add it, but I'm going to just leave myself a note to add it while I have my best of list open. I like a movie that knows what it is, and that movie knows what it is. It's silly. Turn your brain off. Nothing there is real. It's just a lot of fun. There are some amazing cameos. There's one cameo in particular with 2 people who are known to work together. I don't want to spoil it. You may have seen it on the interwebs. And I was like, this is great. Jerry's fine in it. Jim Gaffigan looked like he was 5 minutes from dying. So I mentioned over the weekend he's apparently taking Ozempic equivalent, and I can see why. I don't know if they padded him up. He looks terrible in the movie. My wife randomly blurted out that Amy Schumer's unlikable. You could send her notes. There's something about Amy, man. I don't know. She was fine in it. Jerry doing Jerry things. I loved Hugh Grant in it. I felt he was chewing the scenery. It reminded me of Ricardo Montalban in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Just a great performance, having fun, over the top. Unfrosted, high recommend. I know on the normal episode that went out earlier today, I read a bunch of terrible reviews. I disagree with all of them. I think Unfrosted nailed it. In tone, it reminds me of Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Just a fun romp. 1 hour 36, which, by the way, is the perfect length for any movie. And then the other thing I watched was John Mulaney Friday night. I'll be curious to see what they do tonight. I actually wrote a Substack about it. The Substack is free. The link is in the notes. And if you want to read what I wrote, just open that up. You can subscribe for free, or you can just hit no thanks and read the one. But basically, it was misproduced. We're long here already, and this is a bonus episode, so I'll let you read my thoughts. But the short version is you had Jerry Seinfeld sitting there, and they decided to take a phone call. I am some sort of radio audio expert. Civilians cannot tell a story. So you've got Jerry there, and you're turning your show over to a random woman who called in to tell a story she thinks is funny. Jerry Seinfeld is sitting there with, what are you doing? Misproduced. Then they threw it to a pre-recorded piece that was terrible, and then when they came back from that, Seinfeld was gone. I'm like, you had Jerry Seinfeld sitting there. That said, I saw sparks of Mulaney, especially in the first 10 minutes, that reminded me of early 80s Letterman when the set was still brown, not even the blue set, the really early days where you'd get a lot of Chris Elliott, you'd get a lot of Larry Bud Melman. There's something there. I hope somebody at Netflix read my Substack and took my notes. I'll be very curious to see what Mulaney does. Now, I don't know if I could stay up to 11 again. I got in from Cleveland at 1:40 a.m. on Sunday. Congratulations, Deacon Mike. And my dog had me up at 7:30 and then up Sunday night past 11 o'clock. I wanted to do this episode Sunday night. I just didn't have another 90 minutes in me to bang this out. But yeah, Mulaney, there's something there. I'll be really curious to see what he does. My point, I've lost my train of thought. My point is, I don't know if I could stay up to 11 o'clock again tonight. So I might have to watch that on 1 day delay, or maybe I'll let a bunch of them gather and catch up on that. But again, if you have Jerry Seinfeld next to you, just use him. Tonight's guest, main guest, is Jon Stewart. The second guest is Gabe Iglesias. As I wrote on the Substack, Johnny Carson would shut up and let his guests be funny. That's all you have to do. Hey, here's Jon Stewart. Johnny, you're watching the Trump Stormy Daniels trial? And then stop talking. That's all you got to do. All right. Normal episode for Monday is earlier in the feed. Back tomorrow. Substack, link in the notes. If you're just discovering this podcast today, I do this 7 days a week. Check it out. I've already blown out my voice, and I still have to record Tuesday's podcast. Not good. All right, see you in the morning.